Hey everyone, my name is Billy Wink and I'm the CEO of HP Auto, and today we're going to talk about how you can save $200,000 and get this instead of a 992 GT3RS. You know, as a guy that generally likes the GT cars, I've always gravitated towards the power and performance of a turbo car. So I thought this would be a useful video for somebody that has the means to get a 992 GT3RS and say, hey, what if you want to save 200 grand and have something that's just as fun, even faster, and you might like it better. With the Turbo S, obviously price point's much lower, but then how do you even compare the two cars? Well, think about this. This car has a huge amount of horsepower, it's all-wheel drive, versus the RS, which is a track car, massive aero. You could daily drive if you like to party, so to speak, but it's not gonna be super comfortable. Obviously, the budget, right? So I like this car a lot, and I think if you don't have to track the car or you want a little more comfort, you should consider this car because you're gonna have a lot of power. It's gonna handle super good. It's gonna save you quite a bit of money. The depreciation is already starting to kind of settle a little bit on the turbos, especially if you get a 21 or 22 model. And honestly, for the amount of money you're spending, the power of this car is insanely good. Now, don't get me wrong, the RS is a super sick car, but you really should take a look at this car, and I'm going to tell you why. So one of the things to consider is you got 640 horsepower and 590 foot-pounds of torque versus 518 horsepower and 342 pounds of torque. So this car is going to get you to 0 to 60 in 2.2 seconds, which is one of the fastest production cars ever made, versus 3 seconds in the GT3RS. So right off the bat, head-to-head, this thing is going to destroy that car. Now, this car is obviously all-wheel drive, so it's more of the daily driver supercar versus the RS's rear-wheel drive. The other thing to consider is you got active aero here, but in the 992, I mean, it's pretty serious aero. You even have DRS in it. Another thing to consider is this thing does a quarter mile in 10.1 seconds. So it's extremely fast. If performance and speed is more of your focus, this may be a better option for you. From a sheer weight perspective, this is 3650 and the RS is 3250. So pretty similar weight. I mean, yeah, 400 pounds is a lot, but comparatively speaking with the horsepower and the torque this car has, it's going to be pretty similar, you know, in weight distribution for pound horsepower. So one of the big comparisons is the two cars driving every day and on the street. So obviously you're gonna have a lot more comfort here. You've got back seats, you've got standard active sports seats, more creature comforts, right? The RS, you're gonna have the bucket seats, they're gonna be fixed position, you're not gonna have the rear seat. It's just gonna be a lot more race and track focused. So, you know, if you're driving the car every day and it's something that's mainly gonna be driven on the street, this is, you know, something that's gonna have those benefits versus the GT3RS, where it's, you know, very highly track focused, less functional on the street, less comfortable on the street, and things of that nature. So of course, daily driving this car as well, it's gonna be a lot less stiff, right? You've got the full track focus suspension. It's gonna also have a lot more noise insulation inside this car. I mean, this is like a grand touring car, right? So you're gonna have a lot more insulation in here versus RS. You're gonna have every creak, every squeak in the car. It's gonna be more rigid, more harsh ride. Another thing to consider is usability. You have significantly more cargo space than this in RS. So if you have an RS, you literally have your back seat, that's not a back seat for storage space, versus you've got all of this, which isn't a lot, but it's a lot more than nothing, right? And then you have the back seats as well. So if you're, again, more focused on using the car and maximizing that car, the RS is gonna be a lot less functional for someone that needs to use it for multiple purposes, which we get, it is an extremely expensive car, but if you can afford that car, you most likely can afford to daily drive it if you want as well. And then the next thing is, if you're a tuner like me, what are the options to upgrade the car? So with a 992 Turbo S, you can do a full cat back exhaust. So you can delete the cats, do a straight pipe with an X pipe exhaust. You can put a tune on it, you can do some intercoolers, and you can easily pick up 200 to 300 horsepower in this car, which makes it an absolute rocket ship. I mean, this is a supercar killer every day of the week. You just see a couple things on it. The RS though, you gotta do a lot of work to extract some power out of it. I mean, you can do full exhaust, filter, tune, and I'm sure there's other things being developed by like Dun and whatnot right now, but you're not gonna see 100 horsepower gains on this car. It's just, it's not, you know, on a naturally aspirated engine, it's hard to get that unless you have like a full set with everything, and you're looking at probably, by the time that kit is developed by an aftermarket tuner, $30,000 or $40,000 to do it. So another thing too is some people, if you haven't noticed, have deleted the RS wings, right? So with this car, obviously, if you're not more of a loud, you know, in your face kind of Porsche owner, you don't have to worry about the massive wing or anything like that, but you do also have this beautiful rear end that the Turbo S is known for. And this car does have an aero kit, so it obviously looks a little bit better, but I love the way this car looks. And I think, you know, if you have the means for it, it's the best daily driver you could possibly have. The next best thing is, if you're a turbo guy, is the exhaust. This thing sounds insanely good. In fact, we're gonna let you hear what it sounds like. So another thing to consider is, you know, depreciation, cost of ownership. So for example, this is a 21 Turbo S. You're looking at, depending on mileage, anywhere from 240 for a super low mile high spec car to around 210 for a higher mileage car that's maybe not as well optioned. So that's basically, we'll say an average entry cost of 225 grand on this car. And so the lowest I've seen on an RS right now is 350. And depending on spec, I mean, you're looking at maybe 400 to a very high spec low mileage car, or even 450. So you're gonna enter this at a lot lower price. Now, you're gonna also say, well, it's a lot higher production car. Well, Porsche is pumping out these RSs and they're gonna be flooding the market soon. Whereas this guy's sitting in the background, it's kind of stabilized and the market's not flooded with them. And I think obviously they're gonna depreciate for sure, but if you enter into a 20 model or 21 model, you're gonna see a lot better depreciation because you've already jumped ahead of that curve. There's always gonna be a demand for a Turbo S. There's a very specific buyer buying RS. Now that doesn't mean I personally wouldn't buy an RS, but in this video, I'm trying to give you all the reasons why you should consider maybe not buying an RS, depending on if you're on the fence or if you've never tried the Turbo S. So as far as maintenance, you're gonna have pretty similar maintenance. You know, Porsches are notoriously reliable and simple maintenance schedules. You're gonna actually have a little bit more aggressive schedule on the RS because now they've changed the plugs and major service every 2 years on those. They do have a little bit more aggressive center lock servicing than a turbo car, but overall they're pretty much the same. There's no like engine out services or anything crazy, but you may in the future see some stuff with the active aero being a little bit more maintenance heavy on the RS and whatnot. But as of right now, all of these cars are under factory warranty. So for the most part, maintenance should be pretty similar. Now the Turbo S is starting to get a little closer to being out of warranty, but there are special products such as extended warranties and certified pre-owned options to make sure you don't have to worry about that headache if you do buy one of these cars as well. Also, one last thing to consider is how the car is spec'd. So, you know, you can have a Y-Sock package on the RS. That's not quite an option on one of these, but you can do a carbon roof if you choose, which this car doesn't have, but you can have a carbon roof. You can do the carbon mirrors. And I mean, as you can tell, it's got the aero kit. Like, this car is a super spec car. And that is a major factor when buying one of these cars when it comes time to resell, is having the right spec and right option on the car. So if you know, again, are on the fence, you can get a Turbo S as a very good spec on it. You just gotta look for the right car or order it new and get it the way you want. So I hope you got some value from this video. This is, again, for the people that are maybe considering trying something different, or maybe just never had a Turbo S, or maybe thinking about an RS, but you know, maybe aren't fully sold yet. So me personally, it's a tough decision picking between the two because I like, you know, I do like the aero and all that and whatnot on the RS, but it would be nice to have an extra 150 grand in the bank and have this as a daily driver. So hopefully that helps you get in the right direction. And if you have any questions, comment below. Make sure you like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.